It's not a book, chaps, that I have read since only 3 or 4 months ago, but it's one I've quoted from for a latest video. Seems to have attracted trouble. Boris Johnson's Churchill Factor. I don't know what I'm doing, I can just slap it on. I got it from a charity shop for under £1. I was going to give it the skunk eye, critical eye. He says like he's bloody someone else. Because to me, the book on Winston Churchill is Roy Jenkins's mammoth tome, Churchill. And Andrew Roberts I stay away from sometimes. So I thought with old Boris, and my friend said, do you think he actually wrote it? And I said, judging by how it's written, if it's not, he's got a bloody good ghostwriter. So let's open it up and let's see if there's a Boris Johnson kind of phrase. Well, the closest I got, and it was like holding a bull elephant by the tail. Oh, it's about D-Day, where poor old Lechelle's the King's private secretary. He uses a lot of big words, as old Boris. It has its moments, and that is to say, it's energetically written. It is only about 360 pages long. It has colourful chapter headings. It has, where is it? Oh, actually, I should have just gone to the intro about how it sounds. When I was growing up, there was no doubt about it. Churchill was quite the greatest statesman that Britain had ever produced. From a very early age, I had a pretty clear idea of what he had done. He had led my country to victory against all the odds and against one of the most disgusting tyrannies the world has seen. I knew the essentials of his story. My brother Leo and I used to pore over Martin Gilbert's biographical life in pictures to the point where we had memorised the captions. Now, apart from the fact I seem to have sat a cup of tea on it, it had at the end something I found rather amusing. ThinkLikeChurchill.com. I think, where's it? Inside the back of the book. Yeah. Bonham Carter, timeline. Yeah, the Think Like Churchill app, and you get a nice little picture of Boris there. And the conclusion, not many I bet. Oh, sorry. How many others can you think of who have been decisive for the better, who have personally tilted the scales of fate in the direction of freedom and hope? Not many I bet, and that's because when history needed it in 1940, there was only one man who possessed the Churchill factor, and having spent quite some time now considering the question, I am firmly of those who think that there has been no one remotely like him before or since, and he credits David Cameron for helping him out in the for the research. I can only assume it's the former Prime Minister who has been quite consistently and persistently one of Boris Johnson's biggest critics. Now, the bad points. I can't quote, unless I read directly from the book, I can't quote him directly, but he takes on the controversies in Churchill's life, and that is the Welsh business, the general strike in general, and the Bengal famine, and Oran, which no one really cares about nowadays, but was incredibly serious, as I demonstrated in my history video. I read these with intrigue, and I thought to myself, he's being brave, and in his way, Boris has effectively found not a good side to each one, but it said, well, look, this is wrong, Churchill actually meant this, that, and the other. Do I agree with it? Not wholly, but I think it's awfully interesting that he has done it this way. Read the book for that very reason, but I'm not recommended it as such, because there's enough books on Churchill to sink the Titanic. I would have thought, if Jesus has the most words written, Hitler's meant to be the second, Churchill's got to be in the top 10 somewhere, mustn't he? Actually, that being said, my favourite book, well, Waterstones I suppose, is the 5 Floor Giant on Piccadilly, and History is still on the 4th floor, And the last time I was there, I can't imagine it's changed much. You have to go right to the end of the floor, and you've got British history, and it takes you from ancient Britain, from the Romans all the way through to now. And you've got World War II books, and next to the World War II books, I didn't have a picture of it. It has a Churchill section, 5 shelves worth, top to bottom. So Boris's book is there, and yes, he did write it. Like I say, if he didn't, his ghostwriter got in his head, which must have been quite scary. I once quoted a Boris book in my essay at university, and it almost blew my left-wing lecturer's gasket. And you think, well, all lecturers are left-wing. Well, there was left-wing and there was left-wing. I had the French Revolution tutor, always cycled in London and wore a red bandana and called us comrades, and once said we had to go to the barricades or something. My tutor through uni, dear old Tony Gorse, was a keen fan of Attlee and had written 3 or 4 books on the Suez Crisis. And Clapson, who didn't care for me much, was a communist who had given us, we were doing fascism in Britain as a module, and they used to give us out paperwork and stuff for coursework or whatever, and the big bibliography was 75% books he had written about communism and socialism in Britain. And I thought, fair enough, getting the other side of the coin, but you were meant to be studying Britain in fascism. Fascism in Britain, sorry. And apparently Boris Johnson is a fascist. Well, what the hell, I don't care anymore. So yeah, that's the Churchill factor. I'd like to see him write a book about Thatcher after he leaves office, because the miners' strike alone will be interesting to see how he spins that, like he did in the Churchill book. So yeah, like I say, check it out if you want to, chaps, but there it is.